So can you understand how some people watching that might conclude that Democrats are spending more time and energy worrying about people here illegally than about American citizens?
I guess I don't make the connection, Tucker. I think that most Americans, most Texans, certainly those that I've listened to across the state, want to make sure that Dreamers can continue to remain and thrive in their communities. You have people like Saba Nafries, who I just met, who's a PhD student in mathematical biology in Texas Tech. She's a dreamer. You have people like Alonzo Guillen, who died trying to rescue his fellow Texans during the flooding after Harvey. He was a dreamer from Lufkin, Texas. I was in Booker, as Republican as it gets in Texas, and the people in Booker were concerned about Dreamers because they had just deported one of the honor roll students at Booker High School.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Stop your speech really quick. There are a lot of good Dreamers for sure. There are also a lot of bad ones. More Dreamers have been busted for gang membership that have joined the military. I'm not, that's not an indictment of all people here under DACA. It's just, let's just get real. These are normal people, some good, some bad. They're not all valid. The question is, there are a lot of good American citizens as well. And can you see why, when Democrats say, we're not going to fund the government unless you allow these people to vote and bring their relatives with them, that maybe it suggests a priority that's out of sync with those of most people here? That's my only question.
Yeah, I guess I don't see that. I'll tell you, from my perspective in El Paso, Texas, the city that I represent, where I'm raising my 3 kids who are 11, 9, and 7, I want to make sure that our community continues to thrive. And one of the reasons that we are one of the safest cities in America every single year for the last 20 years is we're a city of immigrants, including Dreamers, who contribute to our success and our safety. And that benefit is spread out over everybody in my community throughout the state of Texas and to this country. So it's very good for America, not just for Dreamers, not just for their families. So I think most Americans see this as a net benefit.
Right. I just checked the school numbers in El Paso, the city that you're bragging about. El Paso is a great city. But 39%, only 39% of graduating seniors from your schools are ready for college in math or English. It seems like maybe that's a bigger crisis than whether or not people here legally can bring their relatives from abroad. Wouldn't you think? I mean, again, priorities.
Yeah, I don't think working on these things is mutually exclusive. You'll find no one who's worked harder or done more, for example, for veterans in this country when it comes to mental health care access. That's a very sacred priority of mine. I've been able to make progress with Republican members on this issue. At the same time, I can advocate for the success of my community and our country at large by ensuring that those Dreamers stay here. By anyone's measure, there's extraordinary positive economic benefit to those Dreamers staying here. The jobs that are created, the dollars that are spent in this community.
I'm sorry, you don't have the numbers on that. You can't prove that.
I absolutely
do. You spent a lot of time on this question. You don't, actually, because this has been looked at a lot.
No, he don't have
evidence that bringing people who have lower than average educational attainment as they do to this country in a high-tech economy makes the rest of us richer. There's just not evidence.
Well, economists have looked at this, and it's measured not in the millions, but in the tens of billions of dollars to the positive that Dreamers bring to our economy.
So let me ask you this. I mean, a lot of these are minors. These are extrapolations and theoretical. I hope you'll concede that at least. But let me ask you this. Why is it good for Americans? Why should Americans pay for legal representation for people here illegally? You sneak in, taxpayers pay for your lawyer, you sponsor legislation that would allow that. How does that benefit Americans exactly?
I think it's keeping true to who we are. When you have asylum seekers from the most violent, brutal countries in the world, like El Salvador, who are young kids or young families, I want to make sure that they have every opportunity to apply for asylum in this country, knowing the laws, having an advocate, and aren't returned to a country where they face, in some cases, certain death.
But these are people, just to be clear, that came here illegally. They didn't come as refugees through one of our many programs to bring refugees here.
Very often they came as asylum seekers who presented themselves to Border Patrol agents at the border, to customs officers at the ports of entry. And
so then taxpayers are paying for them to fight American law in court? I mean, can you see why people
would say... Not to fight American law, actually to get right with American law.
That
make sure that they show up to their court hearings, to make sure that they follow our laws. I think again, that's in everyone's interest. But if you're concerned about security...
For us to pay for lawyers so they can fight deportation, that's somehow good for us. Why is it good for us to pay for the health care bills of people who snuck in here against our law?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That would have allowed that too.
It's
Yeah.
good for people who are in our country,
Who's
who are
this
contributing to this
joker?
country's success.
Who is
to
this
be,
joker?
safe, to be healthy, to be able to continue
Dole.
to contribute.
Did the law specify, did your bill specify it only applied to people who are benefiting our country? I don't
Yeah,
think it did. I
snowflake.
think anybody here legally
You want
would
him
get free healthcare
libtard,
tax
snowflake,
expense.
look at him.
I'm sorry, with all respect, I'm confused
Like a
by
wolf.
why we should pay for the health care of someone who broke our law to get here. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I don't think you're reading the bill correctly.
think I
and
am.
I think you're
Oh.
losing sight of the benefit that we gain by those
don't know what
who
he's
are
talking
contributing to
about.
our communities, our states.
He had no
and our
idea what
country's
he's
success.
talking
Did that
about.
law specify that only people contributing to our country would get free health care, or did it also apply to, I don't know, gang members or vagrants? I think they were covered too, weren't they?
I think there's an interest in making
Well,
sure
liberals,
that
they want to
if
protect
someone is
them
going to
gang
be sick,
members, don't they?
if
They
someone
like
needs
gang
help, that we
members.
deliver
They
the
don't
most
care how
efficient,
bad they are as long as they get votes.
cost-effective.
That's all they care about, is a bunch of
So-
votes.
Effective to pay for the health care of people here.
Yeah, I mean, you can pay for it in the emergency room.
about that?
Oh, we don't care. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of bad
You
people
want
come in when we get our
in
votes.
your community and in your
yeah, I
country.
must be a mean person for not being in favor. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks
House
for having me.
Republicans, led by Bob Goodlatte of Virginia, have released an outline for what they say a DACA deal ought to look like. It includes mandatory E-Verify, an end to the diversity lottery, authorization for a wall, and more. Congressman Raul Labrador is a Republican representing the state of Idaho, and he joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks for coming on.
It's great to be on your show.
So you're on the inside of the Congress. Obviously, I'm far outside, but we spoke to someone close to leadership today who said he didn't believe that Republicans were at the number they needed to be to get this done. Do you think that's true?
Well, I think it's fascinating that the Speaker of the House introduced tax legislation without 218 votes. He introduced a health care bill without 218 votes. But all of a sudden, he's requiring Republicans, conservative Republicans in the House, to have 218 votes before they introduce DACA and border security legislation. Do you think that's fair?
No, I think it's very telling, actually. Why do you think? And I didn't know that. Why do you think that is?
Because I think they have a different agenda in the leadership, and I think we're trying to show them that our Republican conservative bill is the only one that's going to get the majority of the conference together. In fact, I believe that after we educate the conference, we talk about this bill, we explain to people what is in this bill, that we're going to have over 218 Republicans approve and sponsor this bill. I think we can do this. But I think they should put the same effort that they put into health care and that they put into the tax bill into making sure that we secure our borders, that we end the diversity visa program, that we end chain migration, just like the American people told President Trump and supported President Trump by the millions and the millions that he became president of the United States.
What do you suppose the argument from within the Republican side of Congress would be against those measures, ending chain migration, ending the diversity lottery, E-Verify? What would be the argument against that?
So they don't have an argument against that bill. What they have an argument is that